Hey guys, what's going on? So as I've mentioned before, I've watched 174 movies over the quarantine in a row. And that's the most movies I've ever seen, by a long shot actually, in that amount of time. That's a lot of knowledge about films that I have in my head right now, and I just wanted to tell you guys about the best ones you guys should check out, and some that I would recommend. Okay guys, so when this all started, we didn't really have school. There was this 2-week period where our school was going to be shut down, but we didn't have classes or anything like that because nothing like what is going on right now had ever happened, so no one knew what to do. And we thought we should just watch a movie every night, and we'd always wanted to do something like that. And my mom found these special cards, these. And we'd done a similar thing for Christmas where we put a bunch of movies in this hat and we chose one each night. But this time we each took a card and we put a movie we wanted to watch on it. The only rule could be that less than 2 people had to have seen it. So it was pretty much new movies at the start. And it was really cool, but then just school stayed shut for like the next 6 months. So we just kept doing it every single day. And there weren't scheduled classes, and there wasn't as much work because it was still a period of the unknown and the extreme quarantine. And then we kept going over the summer too. The only time we stopped was during this 1-week period when we left to the vineyard. And pretty much other than that, we've done the pick every single night. Eventually we changed the rules so that it could be any movie ever. This was my time to shine because in the past, I had always wanted to watch these classic movies. And when we watch movies as a family, everyone would just be arguing about all these new movies that they would see, and then all of a sudden it'd be like, can we watch Apocalypse Now? And then everyone would be like, no! There weren't very many chances for me to watch movies on my own. And by the way, I watched Apocalypse Now on my own before all this. But now I could just pick pretty much any movie I wanted to see. So guys, this right here is the amount of movies each of us had picked between me, my dad, my brother, and my mom. And as you can see, I went on several tangents, and I guess the average, if the 174 movies were to be split up exactly into fourths for each of us, would be about 43.5, so 44 movies. And I got above that. And that just shows, I guess, that the universe was taking revenge or letting my time shine because I'd always wanted to watch so many of these movies. I've also put them into this handy-dandy pie chart so you can picture how much in color each of us had picked and the percentage of the total. Now that other portion in the yellow, that represents movies that we collectively agreed to when something new came out we really wanted to watch. For example, Greyhound, that came out on Apple TV+, would have been looking forward to that for a while because it was a sub-movie. The Sleepover, which I was in, we just automatically watched it. And also Band of Brothers, which wasn't a movie but was about the same length of a TV episode. We watched that to remember the World War II veterans on a certain holiday. I also have them in this bar graph, a different way of looking at it so you can kind of better tell how close the numbers were for each of us. Also, to give you guys a bit of scale of how many movies 174 movies in, I have this chart right here to differentiate between the movies we watched during the quarantine and what I call after quarantine, which is after school started. Now that red is 14 movies to blue's 174. This also proves how few movies I would watch normally during the year, about 2 a week. This pie chart is every single genre together. There's an incredible amount of genres, and I also kind of selected this partially subjectively based on what I thought that the genre was, and also internet searches. The drama is almost a cop-out because it's really for movies that don't fit into any other category. There are some true dramas, but a movie like Magnolia, I don't really see what other category it could fit into. And here's another bar graph to get a better idea of the comparison, not just percentages. So you see the huge red drama, and then closely in second is comedy. Then crime, thriller, action, and sci-fi are about the same. Now, there's not a true winner here. I mean, obviously it's drama, but it's not that safe of a lead that I can say that we mostly chose one category, which shows it's cool that we had a very wide diversity of movies. Okay guys, so if we look at the first category, sub-movies, my dad absolutely dominated this category. He was the only one who actually chose these, and a lot of his movies were sub-movies, and we got new ones like The Wolf's Call, Curse the Command, some epic classics like The Hunt for Red October and Das Boot. These movies are all very iconic, and I'd say the best one I've ever seen is Das Boot. It's so good. It's probably my #1 recommendation. It's also in German and very long. And that's why my second recommendation is The Hunt for Red October. Now that one has Sean Connery in it, and I was talking about it a few weeks ago. And also another new one that's really good is The Wolf's Call, but that's also in French, if that scares you away. But a lot of these movies are foreign films, and you guys should definitely listen to Bong Joon-ho's advice and get over that 1-inch little thing of subtitles. Next up, we have drama. Now this is such a wide category, that's probably why we all have a lot of these movies. This ranges from Magnolia to American Beauty, The Perfect Storm, movies like that. Now those are 3 very different movies, but for this category, there's a lot to cover. So for my recommendation, Magnolia is absolutely incredible. It's also insane. Do the Right Thing is definitely a very prevalent film. And for my third recommendation, I wanted to go with One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Dang, this is a good genre. I mean, for the ones we chose, those 3 are really good. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, I can't even say how good it is. There's other ones in this also that are really good, like Roma, Trumbo more recently. Go check those out. Alright, next up we got comedy. My mom and Ronan really dominated this category. Maybe my dad and I just don't like silly things. Just kidding, that's totally not true. But we had a lot of these movies, and there's some really good ones. Like The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Friday, This Is the End, and that's actually my first recommendation. This Is the End. Absolutely hilarious. If you guys don't know them, you should probably check them out first, because all the celebrities play themselves. Also is Dr. Strangelove. This is barely a comedy, but it's definitely one of my favorite movies of all time, actually. Definitely one of my favorites from these movies as well. For this next one, I actually wanted to go with Friday. It's absolutely ridiculous, but other ones that I didn't recommend but are also really good. Lost in Translation, The Birdcage. Definitely go check those out. Next up is thriller. I definitely had the most in this category, also some from my dad and a little bit from my mom. None from Ronan, as you can see from this bar graph. So a lot of good ones in here. A classic like Vertigo, that's actually a really weird one. Ones like First Reformed, more modern. And the ones I wanted to recommend are Chinatown. This is a classic and it's also amazing. Also is Le Samouraï, which is a French movie. It's old, but it's very good. I think it sets the precedent for future crime movies, because it's about a hitman, and just check it out, you'll see what I mean. Also is The Hateful Eight, more recently. I think this one's actually on Netflix. It's pretty long, but it has an epic story. In a similar vein, we have crime. Looks like Ronan actually had the most in this category. I had a lot. So did my parents. This seems to be a well-liked category. Here we have movies like The Untouchables, which also is Sean Connery. It has some really good scenes in it. Also is American-made, but the ones that I wanted to recommend are Scarface, which is also a classic. I can't believe I hadn't seen this yet, but it was so good. Wall Street. I mean, come on, there's a poster behind me. Just go check it out. Also is The Drop. This one is new and is gritty and intense, but I really liked it. For a bit of a change up here, we have romantic comedy. A lot of good ones in here, and a lot of picks by Ronan and my mom, and one by me, actually. In this category, we have movies like Amélie, which is considered a romantic comedy, Say Anything, and what I wanted to recommend is 10 Things I Hate About You. This is a great one. It's a high school movie, and it has a lot of young people who I know for their later work. Very interesting. Crazy Stupid Love. This one's really good. You'll see what I mean. Also is High Fidelity. This one has a lot about music and trivia, stuff like that I love. It's a very cool one. Once again, check it out. Sci-fi. So I actually dominated this category too. But we all like this, even though some of us didn't pick as many as others. This is definitely a category we enjoy. There's movies like Moon, 10 Cloverfield Lane, The Fifth Element. The ones I wanted to recommend are Ex Machina and The Terminator. These two are about artificial intelligence, and they're both very good in their own way. Ex Machina has a very good story. I've been wanting to watch this one for a while, actually. We also have The Terminator, which is just a classic. My third recommendation for you guys is I Am Legend. This isn't exactly sci-fi, has some elements of horror because it's a zombie movie. This one's very good. Will Smith. I've seen it twice now, and it's been very good both times. Next up, we have horror. Now this one is dominated by my dad and I. My mom and Ronan really don't like this. I don't think they picked a single one, but this is a category I've definitely learned to like. We watched a lot of classics in here, and I think they were all good. So only really one I didn't like too much, but we have movies like The Witch, Let the Right One In. And the three that I wanted to recommend, for the first one is The Shining. This is one of my favorite movies ever. It's very good. It's definitely ahead of its time. Next is 28 Days Later. This is one of the first zombie movies, the modern era at least. This one is pretty intense, and I actually really liked it because the climax just gets so epic. The other one I want to recommend is Train to Busan, which I'm pretty sure is on Netflix. This is probably one of the best ones that we actually saw this whole time. This is from South Korea. It's another zombie movie, but it's really good. Some of these next genres are a bit smaller than the others, but for the start, we have animation, which is actually only chosen by Ronan. We have ones like the Lego Movie 2, and I wanted to recommend to you guys Treasure Planet, which is a very nostalgic movie for me. I used to watch it when I was super young. I rewatched it, and it definitely holds up. It gave me a wave of nostalgia as I was watching it. There's also Toy Story 4, which is very good. So good job, Ronan, for picking those and switching it up every now and then. Next up is action movies. My mom chose this the most, but we pretty much all chose this a lot. Except for my dad, but we all like these movies. There's some new stuff like Project Power, some older-ish stuff like Top Gun. And the first one I wanted to recommend is Speed. This is a classic with Keanu Reeves. I watched it for the first time. It's pretty iconic and highly rated, and it definitely holds up. Next is Kill Bill. This is Quentin Tarantino. The first one's so good. The music is amazing. And then there's Zombieland, which is a zombie movie, part comedy, part horror, part action-adventure, part drama even. There's something in here for everyone, and there's some scenes in here that just rank so true for my family. I don't even know if I can explain it to you guys. It's so specific, these things that we love to see. Next up is the war genre, which I pretty much dominated. There weren't very many movies in here, but there's some good ones like Platoon. That one's very good. It's probably a modern classic. We have Band of Brothers, the show. This is a limited mini-series on HBO. This is very good. Every time you watch it, you start to like it more. Now, I'm only counting this one because we had to watch this in place of a movie, and one episode is almost as long as a movie. It's about an hour long. Next is another Quentin movie, Inglourious Basterds. That one's very good. It's just Quentin Tarantino in World War II. Next up, we have 4 categories that have 3 movies or less. The sport movies, this is dominated by my dad and my brother. We have Hoosiers, Rush, Breaking Away. Hoosiers and Breaking Away are classics. They're very good. You guys should go watch them. There's also the modern movie Rush about F1 racing, which I've been getting into lately. This one's really cool. Next is fantasy. There's only 2 movies in this genre. My mom and I picked one of each. We have Pan's Labyrinth, which is really good. I would strongly recommend this one. And Ghost, which is also good. Next is Western. This is definitely one of the best genres ever. It has movies like Unforgiven, which I've picked a few times, even though I've already seen it. I would strongly recommend that one. We also have The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. That's on Netflix. That one's really good. It's a 6-part short story movie. Very interesting. It can definitely keep your attention. And there's also Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Classic Western. Next is adventure, which is kind of a weird category because normally it's considered action and adventure on iTunes and things like that. But in this one I classified Thelma and Louise, which is very good. And also The Call of the Wild, which is recent, and I really like this. It has Harrison Ford in it. You guys should probably go check those out. Okay guys, so now that I've done recommendations for each genre, I'm going to try to come up with 5 overall to recommend to you guys. It's going to be very hard for me, and I know it's not going to be perfect, but here goes nothing. Not in any order, this is what I think are some of the best ones that I watched. The Shining, Dr. Strangelove, Train to Busan, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and American Graffiti. There's some really good ones I had to leave out of that. Especially This Is the End. That, I really like that one. I'm not sure if it's one of the best, but as you can tell, I'm a big fan of Stanley Kubrick. 2 Jack Nicholsons, 2 out of 5. And almost all those are before the 21st century. Except for Train to Busan, which is a foreign film even. Okay guys, and also about the 21st century thing. Here's a chart, before and after 21st century movies, what percentages we chose. I'm actually surprised, I thought there would be more before the year 2000. I might check that out more in detail. I don't know how long this video is right now as I'm filming it. But I feel like as long as it is, I still just didn't cover enough. Thinking about doing another video about this later in the week. We'll see what happens once again. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.